The other day, I said that Graham Mertz is better than Cam Ward. Miami fans cried about that. I'll tell you why.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Thursday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country. Ultimate College Football Head Coach is a brand new mobile game that is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game, right? Inside the game, to receive a free boost to your program. Begin your coaching legacy today. And like I said, in my opinion, Graham Mertz is better than Cam Ward. He's a better quarterback than Cam Ward, okay? I will say this. I think that Cam Ward will be drafted higher. I know a lot of Florida Gators fans will probably disagree, and they'll point to the turnovers. Here's the thing, similar to the bad boyfriend analogy of, oh, we can fix him. NFL teams will take that approach with Cam Ward. He's very physically talented. I think he's progressed year over year. I think that right now, though, the Florida Gators have the quarterback advantage. I do. I think that Florida has the quarterback advantage in this game. I mean, you look at one of the most important parts of an offense is keeping them on schedule, is keeping them in possession of the football, right? And here's the part where I know a lot of Miami fans are going to first off insult my looks again, because it's all you guys ever do, you predictable little bunch. And it's the game manager argument, right? Because this is the part where Graham Mertz cleans up just about any quarterback in the country. Graham Mertz does this better than, and that is protecting the football, which was a major concern when he was coming out of Wisconsin. It was, which again, I've said, I think that offense, I'm not saying Graham Mertz is a Heisman caliber quarterback. I do think that offense with Wisconsin was really hamstringing him, because any passing situation was an obvious passing situation, deep shot, and still out of I form under center, just very archaic. But when you look at 2023 Graham Mertz had 3 interceptions all year. Okay? 3 interceptions all year, 6 turnover-worthy plays all year. Right? And he had 7 fumbles, which is an issue, right? But when we're talking about protecting the football, 10 turnovers in a year, I don't think is bad. I think that 10 turnovers in a year, or not even turnovers, because he didn't lose all 7 fumbles. So 10 potential turnovers in a year, I don't think that's bad at all, especially when you look at the Utah interception. Hit Ricky Pearsall in the shoulder pad, popped up, got picked. You look at the Kentucky interception, hit Arliss Boardingham in both hands, got picked. You look at the, was it Missouri interception, threw it to Arliss Boardingham, hit him in the hand, got picked. All 3 of Graham Mertz's interceptions were tipped by his own receivers, right? All 3. Outside of that, an opposing player never caught a pass of his. Then you look at Cam Ward last year. Cam Ward had 7 interceptions, 2 against UCLA, 1 against Arizona, 1 against Stanford, 1 against Cal, 2 against Washington. Okay? So Cam Ward had 7 interceptions. And then you talk about the fumbles, and Cam Ward had 14. He didn't lose all 14 of them, but he had 14 fumbles, and that's just no can do, right? Like, there's no other way. Like, that's just unacceptable quarterbacking to have 21 potential turnovers. That's tough stuff. And even if you want to just talk about turnover-worthy plays, which Graham Mertz had 6, and then again, he had the 7 fumbles, so 13 turnover-worthy plays on PFF. Cam Ward had 21 plus the 14 fumbles is 35. Almost 3 a game. That protecting the football is something that, like, I know that a lot of people will talk about with Graham Mertz of like why he didn't turn the ball over because he was checking it down. That Cam Ward had a really bad offensive line or whatever the argument may be this week. Cam Ward was pressured 173 times last year. Graham Mertz 120. And also I will say this, in one less game, and of course with significantly fewer dropbacks. They played very different offenses. So significant, which we'll talk about the pressure later on, because that's, I think, going to be obviously a key deciding factor in this game. I think everybody agrees with that. But for me, I look at one of the reasons that Graham Mertz is better than Cam Ward right now, is a better quarterback than Cam Ward, is his ability to keep the offense on schedule within structure. And within structure, I mean the busted plays, blocking scheme, like working around those. I think that Graham Mertz does a better job than Cam Ward of it. And I don't think that many people will argue that with me. I mean, Graham Mertz had one of the highest completion percentages in college football last year, which again, we'll talk about the check down stuff. But Graham Mertz had one of the highest completion percentages in all of college football last year. He was widely regarded as one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the entire country. Graham did his part to keep the offense on schedule. The passing offense last year for the Florida Gators was really good, where nothing on the defensive side was going right. The run game was not going well. Pass blocking was really bad. Realistically, you look at that Florida Gators team last year, and they win 3 games without Graham. And if they have Graham for that final game and a half, they probably win at least one of those. They did. Like, you look at just pure win share, and Graham Mertz, you lose South Carolina without him, so you're at 4 wins there. You definitely don't beat Missouri. You lost that game, right? You could beat Missouri. You were leading at a time. Could beat Missouri. Could beat FSU. We're talking anywhere from a 1 to 3 win swing there. You definitely lose the South Carolina game without him. Like, that kind of stuff just can't be overlooked. I'm sorry. I'm not even trying to be a homer. I'm not saying Graham is this Heisman quarterback. I'm not saying he's a superstar elite quarterback. I'm just saying right now, I think he's a better pure quarterback than Cam Ward, especially when you consider Graham Mertz is now entering year 2 in this system, which is undeniable. It's incredibly valuable for a quarterback to have year 2 in an offensive system. As in, same play caller, same OC, same scheme, same team around him. That, invaluable. So you compare that in year 2 to Cam Ward in game 1 with Miami, I have to say Graham. And this is one of those things where I've said, if we're having this game in week 8, if this is happening, then I'm probably leaning more towards Miami. And I think that's fair. I think a big advantage Florida has is not just that it's home, but that it's game 1. You've got the more experienced quarterback. Again, the guy that I think right now is a better quarterback against Cam Ward in game 1 for Miami. I don't know how you can really debate it too much outside of Cam is physically more talented. And that, I'm not arguing that at all. I'm not. I think Cam's physically more talented. I think Cam will probably be a higher draft pick. Although we'll see. The NFL has been really, like, Bo Nix got drafted in the first round. We'll see. But I think right now, I don't think you could argue much about Graham being a better pure quarterback than Cam Ward. And people will criticize Graham Mertz for checking the ball down. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. You got your sandals, you got your sunscreen, you got your snacks for the kids, things that you probably bought a lot of this summer. It was a hot one, and things that you will probably buy more of for August 31st when the Miami Hurricanes travel to play the Florida Gators. But don't stress about the cost. Use Ibata and get cash back on all of your purchases when you stock up on all of your essentials. Ibata is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure that you're doing your best to beat inflation, or at least negate the impact of inflation, no matter what you're purchasing. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibata by using the code LOCKEDONCollege when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And we're going to hit nerd talk right now a little bit, okay? Because the main argument about Graham Mertz, when I've listened to Miami fans in Twitter spaces, when I've read Miami fans, what they say about Graham compared to Cam Ward, and a lot of it is that they call Graham Mertz a basically check down Charlie, right? You know, he's throwing everything short to the line of scrimmage, real close to the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, all that stuff. That's the argument, okay? Graham Mertz in 2023 had an average depth of target of 6.7 yards. For those of you unfamiliar with average depth of target is how far past the line of scrimmage the receiver is, the target is, when the quarterback throws it. So it's different. It's not from where he's standing in the pocket. It doesn't matter if he's 25 yards back. If the guy's 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, it counts as an A dot of 5. It doesn't include any yards after catch. It's not yards. It's on average, how deep are you targeting a receiver? Okay. So for Graham Mertz, that was 6.7 yards. For Cam Ward, that was 7.7 yards. So Cam Ward has a full yard over him there, right? Hope everybody gets that so far. Now we can talk about adding context to that, because both of these quarterbacks, I don't know if you know this, both of these quarterbacks, Graham Mertz and Cam Ward, both threw a lot of passes behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, Cam Ward played in an air raid. For a lot of air raid teams, they throw screens. Again, air raid is you're going to throw the ball a lot, but it's about getting rid of the ball quickly in catch and run opportunities. It's giving you space. It's one of those kinds of offenses. And Cam Ward at Washington State threw a lot of screens, which isn't a knock. You're playing within structure, within scheme. He threw 106 screen passes last year. Okay. Graham Mertz threw 76. Again, Cam Ward threw the ball a lot more. So the volume's there, but they both threw the ball about 19% of their passes were screens. But again, for the Miami fans that argue, well, when he's not throwing the screens, because you can negate the screens again for both sides, and you go, well, Graham still is a check down Charlie. Like, he still just throws it short every time. That's an interesting approach. So Cam Ward, his average depth of target, when you take away the behind the line of scrimmage passes, so you take away the screens, you take away any pop passes he may have had with Washington State, his average depth of target is 10.88. So on average, when he wasn't throwing behind the line of scrimmage, he was throwing 11 yards downfield. Just shy of 11 yards downfield. Graham Mertz, average depth of target, excluding behind the line of scrimmage, was 11.4. So almost 11 and a half yards downfield. So they both threw behind the line of scrimmage a ton, 19% of their passes each behind the line of scrimmage. So I removed the behind the line of scrimmage passes. That removes any fluff, right? No screens, no pop passes, no little flicks when you're in traffic. Doesn't count for any yards after catch, obviously, because it's not even counting for yards. But that's what it was. So on average, when you exclude the pop passes, which again, Graham more so the pop passes than Cam Ward. Cam more so the screens than the pop passes. But when you remove those, you greatly change the average depth of target, right? I think everybody can understand that. Now, it's not just about how far you're targeting the ball, right? It's not about how far you're throwing the ball if you're not throwing it accurately. Okay? So, when you remove the line of scrimmage or remove the passes behind the line of scrimmage, Graham Mertz's adjusted completion percentage is 73.9%. And I say adjusted completion percentage because it's taking out the drops. Okay? It removes drops from the equation, which I think that's fair, just because it's showing basically how often you're accurately getting the ball to your receiver, regardless of the outcome. 73.9%. Cam Ward, hear me out. Adjusted completion percentage, when you remove the behind the line of scrimmage passes, 73.9%. They both have exactly 73.9% adjusted completion percentage. Again, this is just removing drops from the equation, which Cam Ward had, unsurprisingly, significantly more drops when you consider he threw the ball significantly more times, right? Crazy how that happens. But they both had, again, a sub-8 average depth of target total. Graham Mertz's average depth of target when you remove the behind line of scrimmage passes goes to 11.5. Cam Ward's average depth of target when you exclude behind line of scrimmage passes goes to 10.88. So Mertz, on average, throws the ball deeper than Cam Ward when he's not doing the behind line of scrimmage passes, which is interesting because I've always been told, that he doesn't throw the ball deep at all. That's it. Like he doesn't throw the ball deep as often as Cam Ward, which he doesn't, to be fair. There's less than a percentage point. Cam Ward, 11.7% of his passes went 20 plus yards downfield. Graham Mertz, 10.8%. So 0.9% difference there. Right? Graham throws the ball in the intermediate range more often than Cam Ward does. So 10 to 19 yards. That's 19%. Cam Ward's at 18.7. And then the short passes each combined for the rest of it, which are the less relevant part. Graham threw more passes behind the line of scrimmage. Cam Ward threw more passes between 0 and 9 yards. And the percentage is kind of offset there. But that's my point. Like, Graham throws the ball deeper on average when you remove the behind line of scrimmage passes. And his adjusted completion percentage is the same as Cam Ward's. Which Miami fans, you could argue, for when Florida Gators fans talk about the accuracy, you could argue that. Like I'm giving you information here as well. I don't like you, but I'm giving you information as well. But Graham Mertz taking more difficult throws, same completion percentage. And then of course we have to talk about the fun part where Miami fans, this is kind of where you really look forward to it, is pressure on the quarterback, because pressure is obviously going to play a huge part in this game. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. Hey, Locked On Gators fans. I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do. Ultimate College Football Head Coach, HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you can just step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Glory, right? From recruiting players, hiring coaching staffs, overseeing training camps, handling scholarship counts, you control every crucial detail of your program. Palm of your hands. I'm holding my phone. Palm of your hands. And here's what I love. You're responsible for calling offensive plays during the game too. So not only will you be focused on building the team, but you can call plays. See if you could do it better than Billy Napier. Ultimate College Football Head Coach is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. I played every time I have a flight. When I'm flying down to Gainesville this weekend, or next week, I will be playing this game. I'm just saying. To download the game, visit ultimate-cfb.com. Or look it up in the app stores and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. It's Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Begin your coaching legacy today. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And like I said, just the protecting the football, Graham Mertz does it better. The average depth of target conversation with adjusted completion percentage, they're pretty similar, right? Graham does it slightly better. Again, same completion percentage, but the guy who throws it farther more often is going to get the nod there. I think more often than not. But again, it's not something that I'm going to really like. I don't feel like this is such a drastic difference. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying Cam is bad at all. I very much like Cam Ward. I just think right now, Graham Mertz is a better quarterback than him. I think long-term, probably different conversation. But right now, it's Graham. But I think that when you look at protecting the football, Graham wins that one easily. Not even close. Not even a little bit close. When you look at the average depth of target and adjusted completion percentage, very close. But Graham has the slight edge. Again, very slight edge there. But then we talk about pressure, where Cam Ward was under a lot of pressure last year, partially due to his own fault. I don't think anybody can really argue that Cam Ward takes a long time to throw the ball. That's always been one of his things, is that he takes a really long time to throw the ball. He's got one of the longest time to throws in college football, especially like, let's see. Can I see if you remove screens, what is his average time to throw? I'm looking that up. You're seeing how the donuts get made right now. Yeah, 3.1 seconds. So it goes up from 2.8 to 3.1 seconds on average when he's not throwing a screen. Pretty significant climb. And just for comparison's sake, Graham Mertz goes to 2.97. So 0.13, or I forgot what Cam's was. But yeah, 3.1. Yeah, to 2.97. But pressure is obviously going to play a significant part. Cam Ward was heavily pressured last year, partially because of the offense just requiring him to drop back so many times. He dropped back almost 600 times last year. It's a lot. Partially because of that, partially because of how bad his offensive line was, which it was bad. He was pressured on 173 dropbacks. That was 30.5% of his dropbacks, which really bad offensive line, right? Graham Mertz was pressured on 29.2, so 1.3% difference there. Yeah, that kind of gap. So both were heavily pressured on a per dropback basis. Cam Ward was heavily pressured, and on those pressures, completed 44.7% of his passes. Obviously not good. The adjusted completion percentage is 47.4, so just flip that. Graham Mertz's adjusted completion percentage when under pressure, 64.3%. It's 61.9% without the adjustment, but 64.3% when under pressure. That is a almost 20 percentage point difference there in just adjusted completion percentage when under pressure. That's a wild difference, by the way. But it is relevant that, Cam Ward will probably be under pressure significantly less than Graham Mertz this year, right? Even with throwing the ball more, they are theoretically going to have a pretty good offensive line. My concern for Miami's offensive line would mostly be at center. Not even an indictment on Zach Carpenter. I thought Matt Lee was really good for a college center. Thought he was a really good player there, and he was really productive as well. So it's just interesting to see the new center in the game in week 1. Not that Florida has a great interior pass rushing threat right now, so that's not even the concern for week 1, really. It's just in general. But when you look at these quarterbacks under pressure, Graham has been significantly more efficient, right? Because Graham's got a nearly 20% completion percentage difference. Cam Ward has been more aggressive, which isn't surprising. And a lot of the time that Cam Ward's under pressure, I want to say it's his fault. I do. I think Cam holds the ball more than anybody else, really. But 4.33 seconds for time to throw when under pressure is wild to me. That's insane to me. 4.5 seconds almost is ridiculous for any quarterback to hold the ball. Graham's at 3.5. Like that's just such a stark difference for me. That it's really it's kind of nuts. But yeah, for Florida, I think we talk about the pressure in this game. I talked about it yesterday in the second segment. I think you got to keep Hayden Hansen in the pass block. And I know that a lot of people, it was weird. I don't know. Miami fans were arguing with me because I was saying that Ruben Bain was great, but not a game breaker. And that upset, like, don't be sensitive about stuff like that. Like, I'm still complimenting the player, just not as much as you want me to compliment him. But I think you got to keep Hayden on his side. I think he's a damn good pass rusher. I think that on the interior, I'm not worried with anybody that Miami has. And as far as anybody else that they're expecting to play, whether it's Messidor, Alston, I think the other one was, let me see it then. Simple as that. Need to see it there. But for Florida, I think, keeping Graham clean is obviously goal number one. When you look at the difference He completed considerably more passes. He had a 75.2% completion percentage when he was thrown deep, or when he was kept clean. He had a 5.9% average depth of target. A lot of that is because of the pop passes. Same thing for the completion percentage. Pop passes, screens all play a part in that. Cam Ward, 73.4% completion percentage when kept clean, 6.9 yard average depth of target, so a yard deeper than Graham Mertz, which isn't surprising when you talk about Cam Ward had an overall complete average depth of target 1 yard deeper than Graham Mertz did. But I feel like when you watch both of these quarterbacks run an offense, I feel like Graham does a better job of keeping them in structure. Cam probably does a better job when it gets to out of structure. But look, you're in structure more often than you're out of structure. And if you're not, you're probably not a good football team. If you're worried about going out of structure more than staying in structure, you're probably not a good football team. So I think that when you're looking at just keeping Graham Mertz clean has to be priority number one, but also getting to Cam Ward, because comparatively, Cam Ward is terrible against pressure compared to Graham Mertz. Again, part of that is that he's throwing the ball deeper when he's under pressure, which another explanation for that is that he's holding the ball longer. When he's looking for the deep pass, he's holding the ball longer. He's throwing the ball. It's increasing his average depth of target. But Cam Ward, under pressure throughout his career has just been abysmal. And I think that's one of those big trade-offs where, and it's not even me giving an opinion for this one. This is me just talking. But that trade-off is interesting to me of Graham will be under pressure more, but has been really good under pressure. Cam will be under pressure less, but has been really bad under pressure. I'm curious the trade-off of, well, Graham will be under pressure more. Will that give you more back-breaking plays as Miami's defense, more strip sack, just sack in general, whatever it may be? I'm curious if that volume will negate Florida where, you might not get as much pressure, but when you do, you got a really good chance of making a play. So I'm just curious there for that's just my thought. I don't have an opinion there. I'm just very curious. Miami's interior of the offensive line, like if I'm Florida, I'm putting Kelby Collins at basically nose every now and then. Same thing with Caleb Banks and Joey Slackman. Just in passing situations, I'm putting them at nose and just testing Zach Carpenter. Again, you lost Matt Lee. This is the first game, new center there, which does matter for commanding the rest of the offensive line. Florida Gators fans are well aware of that. We've lived through that. So I'm curious to see how the offensive line just works there up front, especially if you give them some exotic looks, just because it's going to be their first game communicating on the road in a loud environment. But Cam Ward needs to be protected because when he is pressured, things go south quick. But again, Graham going to be pressured more. I think Miami's got a promising pass rush. Keeping extra pass protectors there will absolutely matter. But when under pressure, Graham's given you less back-breaking plays. He still has not turned the ball over for you. I don't care what he did at Wisconsin. He hasn't turned the ball over for you here. And he has a year here, so we can base it on that year. But I think that when you look at it, it's a marginal difference. That's why, like, when people argue, I say I think Graham's a better quarterback than Cam Ward right now. When Miami fans argue with me on Twitter, I don't even argue back with them because I think it's close enough where you can kind of just go, I see it either way. That's how I think. I don't think it's a drastic difference at all. It's just I think you have the better quarterback for the Florida Gators right now. It is what it is. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33, and I'll see you all next time.